Welcome to Epic Story Recaps. Our story begins in the Bishop house. Meet Susie Bishop and her three annoying younger brothers. Susie's parents, Walt and Laura, are trapped in a miserable marriage. They live in the same house, but, in their hearts, they are a million miles away from each other. The narrator, functioning as a sort of Greek chorus, informs us that the island where our story takes place is remote, that it is the year 1965, and he tells us something that the characters don't know. He tells us that a big storm is headed towards the island. At Camp Ivanhoe, Randy Ward, a Khaki Scout leader, checks on the work of his troops, a latrine, a lanyard, etc. He tells the troops that they have built their treehouse too high. He tells them that if someone falls from there, it's a guaranteed death. He tells them to build it lower. He spot checks a Khaki Scout burning ants. He cites the scout for uniform violation. He checks to see if there are enough fireworks for the end of summer hullabaloo. There aren't enough. He tells the scout to get some more gunpowder out of the supply shed. Remember, our story takes place in 1965, a time when kids were less coddled. He warns a Khaki Scout riding a motorcycle to slow down. At breakfast, he reads the latest issue of Indian Corn, the official magazine of the Khaki Scouts. There is an advertisement for the end of summer hullabaloo and an article from Scoutmaster-in-Chief about the evils of laziness. He notices that there is an empty chair at the breakfast table and asks who's missing. The missing scout is Sam Shikuski. Randy goes to Sam's tent but finds only a note and a Shawshank Redemption-style escape hole cut into the tent. Jiminy Cricket, he flew the coop. Randy radios the police and gets Police Captain Duffy Sharp. The captain asks if Randy knows why Sam ran away. Randy says he left a note which says, "Dear Scoutmaster Ward, I am very sad to inform you that I can no longer be involved with the Khaki Scouts of North America. The rest of the troop will probably be glad to hear this. It is not your fault. Best wishes, Sam Shikuski." Duffy tells Randy that we better notify his folks. Becky, the island's radio operator, connects Duffy and Randy to Herbert Billingsley, who informs Duffy that, as a family, they have decided to not invite Sam back to their home. This confuses Duffy. He asks if he is speaking to Sam's father. Mr. Billingsley informs Duffy and Randy that he is Sam's foster father. Sam is an orphan. Duffy tells Billingsley he has no idea what to do with Sam when they find him. Randy organizes a rescue party made up of his troop. He wants them to rescue Sam. Lazy Eye asks Randy what his real job is. Randy says he is a math teacher. The bloodthirsty Khaki Scouts ask Randy what they should do if Sam resists. Randy tells them that they are, under no circumstances, to hurt Sam. This is a rescue mission. Then he amends his earlier answer. His main job, he says, is Scoutmaster. He's a math teacher on the side. A scout brings out one of Sam's socks and lets Snoopy sniff it, so they can track Sam. Amongst themselves, the Khaki Scouts discuss Sam. They think he's a weirdo and they aren't going to be caught without weapons when they confront Sam. So they march in country looking for Sam armed to the teeth with homemade weapons. Randy checks the rivers. Duffy drives around looking for Sam. He asks people if they've seen Sam. Duffy asks Susie's parents if they've seen Sam. They haven't seen him. Duffy leaves, or at least pretends to. Laura sneaks away from her house and meets Duffy. They share a cigarette and hold hands. Susie watches all of this with binoculars from a lighthouse. Randy is recording a journal. He says he's worried about Sam and hopes they find him tomorrow. We finally meet our hero, Sam Shikuski. He is rowing his mini canoe filled with supplies like he's Daniel Boone. Sam meets Susie at the rendezvous point. They remember how they first met, a year ago. It was at a church play about Noah's Ark. The Khaki Scouts were in the audience and Susie was in the play. Sam snuck out of his seat and went backstage. He is struck by Susie. He asks her what she is and another girl explains who all the girls are playing. But Sam stops her and points right at Susie and asks her who she is playing. She says a raven. They both feel something electric. Sam asks Susie why her hand is bandaged and Susie says she hit a mirror cause she got mad at herself. Sam nods, but does not judge. A woman enters and shoos Sam back to his seat. The girl next to Susie says he likes you. Sam is taken by Susie's performance. On the bus, Sam is passed a note from Susie asking him to write to her. Back at the rendezvous site, Sam gives Susie flowers and shows her a map of their planned journey, which they begin immediately. They journey through the forest and Sam gives Susie wilderness survival tips. Sam is quite the woodsman, and they have fun. Sam makes Susie a special lunch and they watch deer. The forest feels like something out of a fairy tale because they are together. They follow the old Chickasaw harvest migration trail. They fish in life preservers because Sam isn't that good of a swimmer. Sam catches a turtle named Albert. He throws him back. Susie catches dinner. Sam and Susie eat the fish. Sam offers to feed Susie's cat the guts and eyeballs. Susie declines because she brought cat food, which makes Sam curious about what else she might have brought. He suggests they make an inventory of the things she brought along for the journey. Susie explains that she brought her brother's record player. She left him a note. She shows Sam her favorite record and her collection of science fiction books. Sam looks at one of the books and notices that Susie's books are library books. He asks her if she steals. She says she knows it's wrong, but she does it because she wants to have a secret. Sam asks if she is depressed, and she says she is. She shows Sam one of her parents' books, Coping with the Very Troubled Child, by Dr. Spock. Romulus Trilling. Sam laughs. Susie is hurt by this and tells Sam, sarcastically, "You really know how to make friends." She storms off into the tent. Sam knows he blew it. Sam apologizes and Susie forgives him. Susie reads a book to Sam as he peacefully falls asleep with his pipe in his mouth. Susie takes the pipe out of his mouth and continues reading. Laura finds out that Susie is missing and calls Walt with a megaphone and tells him that Susie has run away from home. Walt notices that Duffy is in front of his house in a police vehicle. He calls out and Duffy starts to make excuses, but Laura quickly tells Duffy that Susie is missing too. Walt wonders how he can help Susie. Duffy reassures him that Susie is probably at a friend's house playing Chinese checkers as they drive around looking for her. When they get back, Laura tells them that Susie has been corresponding with Sam. Walt asks what is in the letters. We get flashbacks to all the problems Sam has at the foster home and all the trouble Susie gets into with her temper. They plan to meet at the rendezvous meadow. So that's where Duffy and the Bishops start to search. At the rendezvous meadow, Duffy and the Khaki Scouts look for clues. Becky and Randy are becoming friends. Duffy tells Laura that he thinks Walt is onto them. Laura agrees. One of the scouts finds a clue and Walt confirms it is Susie's. Duffy takes charge and gives Randy and the Khaki Scouts orders. The scouts are to search the forest. Becky is to get the plane to search from above. Using his binoculars, Sam sees the plane above and the Khaki Scouts closing in on their position. Sam and Susie try to get away, but the Khaki Scouts catch up to them at a clearing. Sam tells the Khakis to listen to reason. They don't like him, so they should just let him go, but the Scouts won't allow it. One of the Scouts holding an 11-inch blade tells Susie she shouldn't be friends with Sam. She asks him why not, and the guy says, because he's crazy. The irony of the situation is lost on him. He looks like the crazy one. The leader of the Scouts tells a Scout with an axe to tie him up, but Sam aims his BB gun and tells them not to cross over a stick on the ground or else he'll fight. An arrow flies and the fight begins. The next thing we see is the Khaki Scouts retreating through the forest. Susie admits that sometimes she goes berserk. Susie sees that one of the Khaki Scouts' arrows has hit Snoopy. The leader of the Khaki Scouts was stabbed, probably by Susie's scissors. Duffy and Randy rush him to the plane to get treatment. One of the Scouts wonders where Snoopy is. Sam is upset that the Scouts accidentally killed Snoopy. Randy and Duffy are preparing to escort the wounded boy off the island. Walt and Laura insist they stay to continue the search for Sam and Susie. Walt gets frustrated with Randy. A pushing match between all four adults breaks out. It is interrupted by the narrator who says, he taught Sam for his cartography button. He thinks he knows where Sam is going. Sam and Susie are excited to have finally made it to their destination. They go for a swim. They hang their clothes out to dry, but they keep their underwear on. Susie poses for a portrait that Sam paints. As Susie is reading a book, Sam tells her that he made her some jewelry. His homemade jewelry is 2 dead beetles attached to fishhooks. Sam pierces Susie's ears, which is quite painful for her, but she's game. They look at birds through binoculars. Sam says Susie is a poet with a good imagination. Susie says that when she grows up, she wants to go on adventures and stuff. Sam says that sounds good. Sam warns Susie that he might wet the bed. Susie accepts this without judgment. Susie says she wishes she was an orphan. Sam says he loves her, but she doesn't know what she is talking about. Susie says she loves him too. That's good enough for Sam. They dance to Susie's favorite record. They kiss. They try French kissing, and it goes a little too far. Not all the way far, but it's a little much for kids to be doing. Susie reads to Sam. She asks if he's still listening. He assures her that he is. The next morning, they awake to the sounds of motors. They look outside their tent and see that the Bishops, Duffy, Scoutmaster Randy, and the Khaki Scouts are there. Walt freaks out and Laura grabs Susie. Randy gives Sam a letter from Herbert Billingsley. The letter says that Sam can't return to the Billingsley home. On the boat ride home, Walt tells Susie that she will never see Sam again. Susie tells Walt that he better not push her into a corner. Susie's brother tells her that she is a traitor to their family. She says good. Randy talks to Sam. He wants to say something to encourage him. He tells him that his campsite was great. If he could, he would have given him a commendable. Duffy has Becky radio social services, who says that Sam might have to go to juvenile refuge, but due to his actions he may need electroshock therapy. Walt tells the boys he's going out back to chop a tree down. Laura gives Susie a bath. Susie tells her she hates her. She says she knows about Duffy. Susie tells her mother that she and Sam are in love and they just want to be together. Laura wonders how she's going to get the fishhooks out of Susie's ears. Duffy makes food for Sam. He tries to console Sam. Duffy gives him some beer, just a little. Sam says he loves Susie. Duffy says he loved someone, but they didn't love him back. Duffy gives Sam a little more beer. At the lethally high treehouse, one of the Khaki Scouts realizes that they've been jerks to Sam. They decide to help Sam. At the Bishop house, Laura sneaks away on a bicycle. Then the Khaki Scouts sneak Susie out and head in a different direction. Laura meets up with Duffy and breaks up with him. The Khaki Scouts try to free Sam, but he says escape is pointless without Susie. Then he sees that Susie is with the Khaki Scouts. Sam asks how she got there, and she says the Khakis snuck her out and left a papier-mâché head in her bed. Sam escapes with the Khakis and Susie. As they make their getaway on canoes, Sam asks the head Khaki where they're going. The Khaki says that they are headed to Fort Lebanon. His cousin Ben runs the supply shack for the hullabaloo. Cousin Ben will know what to do. The narrator explains that a storm will be here soon as the kids go by in their canoes. Walt and Laura try to reconnect, but their marriage is troubled. They are staying together for the kids. Susie is reading to the Khaki Scouts and they love it. Susie's little brother goes into her room to get his record player back, but is terrified by the papier-mâché head the Khakis left in her bed. At Camp Ivanhoe, Randy wakes up to discover his entire troop missing. He sends word to Camp Lebanon. The Scoutmaster-in-Chief thinks Randy is a loser for losing his entire troop. At Camp Lebanon, Cousin Ben takes a can of nickels, worth $76, as a fee for helping Sam. He says a local crabber owes him a favor. Sam will have a tough life crabbing, but it's better than electroshock therapy. Sam asks where the chapel tent is, because he wants to marry Susie. Ben says he can marry them. It won't be binding legally, but the ceremony itself would carry meaning for Sam and Susie. The Khakis want to give Sam the money they paid Ben as a fee. Reluctantly he agrees. Ben marries Sam and Susie. Sam and Susie say their goodbyes to the Khakis and they sail away. They will never see each other again. Just kidding. They come right back. Susie left her binoculars on a hook in the chapel tent. Sam goes to get them. Sam is confronted by the Khaki Scout that Susie stabbed in the clearing where Snoopy died. He has Susie's binoculars. Sam asks why he never liked him. The injured boy says he just doesn't. Then Sam charges the guy and hits him where Susie stabbed him. The boy screams in pain and alerts all of Camp Lebanon. Sam runs. The entire camp chases him into a field. As the camp closes in on him, Sam quotes Chief Joseph and says, "On this spot, I will fight no more forever." He screams, "Come and get me, you bastards." He is struck by lightning. Susie and the friendly Khakis rush to Sam's side. He says he's okay and to follow him. The camp gives chase. Sam and the crew climb up on a roof and pull the ladder up so no one can follow. Scoutmaster-in-Chief radios Duffy to alert him that the fugitives are in Camp Lebanon. Duffy notifies the bishops. Social services is being flown in on a plane. Duffy notifies them as well. The kids run away. Below them a dam bursts. Word about the dam gets to Scoutmaster-in-Chief. He prepares to evacuate his troops to the storm shelter at St. Jack's Church. Sam's crew makes it to St. Jack's as well. Randy arrives at Camp Lebanon and reports to the Scoutmaster-in-Chief, who field strips him of his command. His assistant reminds Scoutmaster-in-Chief not to forget his medicine. He goes back in his tent to get his medicine. While he is in his tent, the floodwaters cut him off from the rest of the camp and set off the fireworks in his tent. Randy heroically leaps across the raging floodwaters and rescues the dazed Scoutmaster-in-Chief just before the tent blows up. Randy takes charge and leads the scouts to safety. Randy, Duffy, and the bishops all arrive at the shelter at the same time. Randy is preparing to go back out and look for his troop and Susie. Becky volunteers to help. Duffy notices costumed kids in the balcony. Just then social services arrives. She lays into Duffy and Randy. Duffy tells her that Sam will get eaten alive in an orphanage. They start screaming at each other. The wounded boy points to the kids in the balcony as the power goes out. When the emergency generator kicks in, Susie and Sam are gone. They have climbed onto the roof and are making their way up the steeple. Duffy goes after them as the storm rages. He ties a rope around himself. At the top of the steeple, Sam and Susie decide to jump into the floodwaters below, even though they know they may die if the water isn't deep enough. Duffy asks social services if he can foster Sam, but she says no. He asks Walt and Laura, who are lawyers, for help. They say the prospects of winning custody in court are very good. Sam tells Susie that in case they die or are separated, he's grateful for her. They kiss and a little bit of electricity passes from Sam to Susie. Susie tells Sam he still has a little bit of lightning in him. As they are about to jump, Duffy tells them not to. He has climbed up there with them. He tells them to listen to his walkie-talkie. Social services says that Duffy has volunteered to foster Sam. Sam looks at Susie and she nods yes. They smile. Sam grabs Duffy's hand. It looks like everything is going to be okay. But just then lightning strikes the clock tower, destroying it. Duffy is hanging by the rope. He holds Sam's hand and Sam holds Susie. Duffy tells Sam not to let go. The narrator explains that the storm was very destructive. Randy oversees the repairing of Camp Ivanhoe. He has a picture of Becky in his tent. Guess they're an item now. The narrator says that the tidal inlet where Sam took Susie was destroyed, but out of the storm came an incredible harvest of corn of the highest quality. Susie is reading while her brothers are listening to a record, and Sam paints. Walt and Laura call their kids to dinner. Sam, who is dressed in an island police uniform, climbs out the window. He looks back at Susie. She says see you tomorrow, and watches him as he gets in Duffy's car. She blows him a kiss. She is wearing a yellow dress that matches the color of the room. She is finally in harmony with her environment. We see the painting Sam was working on. It is a painting of the obliterated inlet where he and Susie spent such a magical time together. In my opinion, the inlet represents youth, for all youth is eventually obliterated by time, but the passing of childhood can lead to a bountiful harvest in adulthood, like the plentiful corn that came after the storm in this story. I love this film. It's a minor classic in my opinion, a sweet story about good people that have a rough start to life, but in the end get their happy ending, especially Sam and Susie. Thanks for watching Epic Story Recaps. See you next time.